Welcome everybody to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. Lorenzo Fawn here.
Kevin Horde here.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about Storm over Ryloth. This is Season 1, Episode 19. It is the first part of a 3-part story arc that finishes out Season 1.
Ah, yes. The air date on this one is February 27th, 2009. But before we get into this episode, I think it'd be good to mention that this episode is releasing on the 10th anniversary of the Clone Wars theatrical release.
Happy 10th birthday to the Clone Wars.
1 full decade. How do you feel about that?
I feel like a decade ago I was sitting on the floor at the mall by myself at the movie theater. So
you're really expecting those crazy crowds.
I was expecting there to be more people there than just me.
Did we ever talk about what the opening weekend box office? We've talked about the box office. What were the opening numbers again? It was something like 8 million or something weird like that.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Anyways, well, happy 10th anniversary to the Clone Wars.
I think 8 million was the budget for the film.
Oh, yeah. So it's somewhere in that range. But, yeah. I think well, actually, we're recording these out of order, but we will have, in a separate episode, talked about other Clone Wars things regarding 10th anniversary things.
Yeah, we're gonna do another episode talking about the trailer to the upcoming season of the Clone Wars, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I only bring that up because
dead and gone.
Yeah. Well, I only bring that up because it was brought up during a 10th anniversary celebration thingy. So, but we'll discuss the context of all of that in the other episode, which likely will have been released before this one. So. I don't know, or the same day. Whatever order you guys feel like listening to this shit in. So, anyways.
Hey, you let us know.
I know. I will let you know as soon as I set the schedule. But anyways, Storm over Ryloth. The fortune cookie for this one is, it is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. If I can read my own handwriting. So
Yep, that is it.
Yeah.
Who do you got pegged as this being a quote from?
This one felt...
this one was tough for me.
This one felt like almost like an Obi-Wan or a Qui-Gon sort of quote to me.
So, follow my logic here for a little bit. Like, I started with Palpatine.
Okay.
Because I thought that this was like some dickish thing that he would say to somebody that failed him, right? And then I was like, nah, Palpatine's not quite right. So then I went with Hondo Ohnaka. And I was like, all right, maybe, we got this piratey dude that's doing his deal, and he's going to kind of get some jabs in there. And then I went all the way through this episode and was about to put my notebook away and kind of sat back and was thinking about what happened during this episode, and it popped into my head. This is totally Lando Calrissian, where... He's not, he's not being a braggart. He's not the guy to give you advice all the time. It's just kind of a little snippet of advice that, he's giving people while he's playing cards or something, playing some sabacc.
Yeah.
So it took me a little bit to get there, but I definitely went with Lando on this. What do you think about that?
I can see that, because my hesitation with attributing to like Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon is they aren't in it for greatness. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's where this is an interesting quote considering who the Jedi are, and I think you're right in wanting to start by looking at like Palpatine to attribute this quote to or something like that. But yeah, I can definitely see Lando. Your logic makes sense for sure. Because that's still something that he would try to attain.
It's like as he's like scooping up the pot, like scooping up the pile of his winnings, and he just whoops somebody by maybe cheating, maybe not cheating. You never know. And
just throws this quote
this
out there
little bit, like, hey man, it's a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. I do not have a Lando Calrissian impression.
No. I wouldn't. And I don't either. I'm not gonna try that one. So
now I'm sad.
No. I know better than mess with that one. So, anyways, what do we got going on this episode? Where do we start here?
I guess we'll start at the newsreel. Start at the beginning. We'll just kind of run through it, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have like a previously on or a recap of the shit that's been going on in the Clone Wars. The newsreel to storm over Ryloth, I felt, was just kind of a setup for this is what's happening in this story that we're going to throw you into. Here's a couple of details to find out why we're going to jump in at this point. Here you go. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the setup that we have is that the separatist Wat Tambor is ruling over Ryloth. Yeah.
Yes, he is. And to visually describe him, everybody's seen Wat Tambor. He's the guy with the glass jar on his head with the radio knobs on his chest. From Attack of the Clones? Is he in Attack of the Clones?
You know what? I don't recall.
I think he totally is.
I know we've seen him around, yeah.
He's definitely in Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan is sneaking around through the Geonosis and termite rafters and oversees Count Dooku talking to a couple of separatists. He's with the banking clan, right? He's like, the banking clan will sign your treaty.
That's a pretty good Wat Tambor. For not having a Lando, that's a pretty good Wat Tambor.
It was hard to get this big glass jar in my head. But you guys don't get to see that.
No.
But I'm stuck in a jar.
It's fairly impressive. So... what do we got? So Annie and Ahsoka are leading an offensive to try and free the people of Ryloth from the oppressive separatists, something like that, yeah?
Yeah, they basically say that Wat Tambor is has taken over the planet, and he's kind of ruling things with an iron fist. Annie and Ahsoka have their main objective is to break the blockade, so that Obi can then come through with the ground troops and go down to the planet and help liberate the planet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Firstly, I think it would be really convenient if somebody wouldn't have lost the keys to the invisible penis ship that we saw back in Cat and Mouse. Because this is exactly what that ship was designed for, is to just sneak in, right?
Nope. It was a one-time use thing.
One-time use.
That's all.
First story of the Clone Wars, and you never see it again.
We never see it again. Never comes back. Nope. Mm-mm.
Yep, you don't get that.
Yeah. So instead, we're going to just send actual troops in to just try and do what they can with this blockade.
We'll send troops in to set up for other troops coming in.
Yes.
Which I guess probably is a military thing. Like, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, but I bet it does. I bet that there's, people that are supposed to just, bust in, whoop ass, break the door open, and then there's other guys that run through the door and, do the other part of the job.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I suppose those would be different skill sets, but, now that you mention it, that is kind of weird that you just have, I guess it's just, different waves of troops, yeah?
I guess so, but the way that it's laid out, it's okay, your job is to open the door, and their job is to run through the door.
Yeah.
But
so, that is...
break the door open when you just keep going? I don't really know.
Wouldn't you just, need them all, all at once? No? Yes? Wouldn't it be more helpful to, just throw all the troops on Normandy Beach, and then...
Right.
Instead of just one little bit of set of troops.
Yeah, I don't really know. We're going to have to get some sort of, like, military strategist on our show.
Give me 1 second. You just disappeared from my thingy, but I think it's because my headphones might have turned off.
Did your battery die?
And they are dead. Give me 2 seconds to get power for these suckers.
Lorenzo is currently doing some linguistic gymnastics, and he has disappeared from the screen. I believe that he is safe. He has not been abducted. Perhaps he is looking for a battery. Not really sure. He just kind of pulled his headphones off and ran away screaming with his arms waving over his head. Currently, I am left talking to myself and not looking at anybody. So for the remainder of this episode, you may just have me, your happy host, Kevin Horde, from Middle America. I hear some rooting around. May have been a drawer that was opened. Lorenzo is almost back. He is unplugging something, perhaps? Plugging something in? It sounds like he is destroying something. Not really sure. Oh, I see a wire. Coming across. And we're plugging in. Oh, you know what he's got to do? He found a charger, and he's plugging in his headphones. And now he's putting them on.
Right, let me see.
Can you hear me? I don't know if he's going to be able to use them while they're plugged in. I don't know if it works that way.
There we go. Hello.
Hey, we're back. I was just narrating everything that you were doing for the past however many minutes.
Well, that was fun.
So...
yeah, as soon as I finished speaking, because these have like the sound canceling thing on them too, so like I could hear the room tone come back. I was like, oh shit. And then you started speaking, I was like, oh yeah, they're definitely dead. So anyways, I finished, what was I saying? And then I'll just edit all of that goodness out.
I don't remember what you were saying because I was I was rambling and talking, and I forgot where we were at. We talked about Wat Tambor. We were talking about what I was saying
Normandy
is that,
jumping in.
You said Normandy. I said that we need to get a military strategist on our show to explain to us whether or not these battle plans are actual legit, and like, is this the way that war would be fought, or because we definitely do throw a lot of jabs at the military ineptitude on both sides, not just the Jedi, it's the Separatists too.
And I'm willing to bet that if we ever did get somebody who is some sort of military strategist, they would just be endlessly annoyed with this show, probably.
With our show?
No, with the Clone Wars and the military strategy that's at play. It definitely seems like a lot of fanciful writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... but who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I could be completely wrong. But anyways, so the plan is to break through the blockade so Obi-Wan can do his thing. But first of all, Ahsoka's got to command a squadron. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, before that, Wat Tambor in the directly after the newsreel.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't actually see Wat Tambor in the flesh in this episode at all. He straight just holocoms in and kind of barks some orders. So we have a new captain of the Separatist army. And although he is named by name in the credits, he's not... You never hear his name spoken during the episode, right?
Not at all.
His name is Martuk.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Captain Martuk.
Captain Martuk, who is a Neimoidian.
Yep. Wat calls him a captain. We get that much.
Yeah, that's all that he's ever called in this episode is captain.
Just captain.
Captain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they couldn't just say Captain Took or what.
Yeah. But that would have been more than anything else, but yeah.
So in the behind-the-scenes stuff on the DVD, Killian Plunkett talks about the design of Captain Martuk. And at first, because I guess they don't do all of their own character designs. He says stuff like, so we sent the concept overseas, and then when it came back, they had a character design. So I guess for like the main characters, maybe they'll do stuff, but for other ones, they don't. I don't know what this overseas thing is. I don't know if that's like their animation studio is somewhere, or if there's, like they're operating in California, and then there's a studio in, I don't know, Australia or London or something. I don't know where overseas is, but he talks about overseas, right? So he said basically what they did is they took Newt Gunray and they put these Martuk wears like the metallic eye filters. I'm not gonna call them glasses. They're not goggles.
Yeah,
but we've seen them on Nemoidians before, where it's like a thing stuck to their face. It's more not ornate, but more perhaps technical than Plo Koon's like sunbathing, tanning salon eye things that he's got.
Yeah.
And this one in particular has like this weird satellite dish that like sticks off on the left side of his face that like rotates back and forth. And apparently in the original design, that was just essentially like a monocle that had like glass on one side and the other side was like a fucking laser beam or something. And the animation department, when they send it off to full animation, like made this thing oscillate back and forth, and it has like a blue light on one side and a red light on the other side. But to get back to my point, the design that came back just had these metal glasses things and a different hat on Newt Gunray. And Killian Plunkett was like, all right. We looked at it and we're like, okay, it's Newt Gunray, but in a different funny hat. So they sent it back over, and he said, he did like some repaints on it to get, because Martuk has this very downward facing frown mouth style. That was specifically kind of what they were looking for in this character. They wanted, since his eyes are covered up, they wanted his mouth to really articulate, I guess, the emotion of the character, right?
Just be more expressive, since you can't depend on the eyes.
Correct. So the two examples, I guess, that he gave for the second go-round for the design of Martuk's mouth were Donald Rumsfeld and Mick Jagger.
Fantastic.
So that's what they're going for with Martuk. It's Took, right? It's not Took.
That's how I would pronounce it.
It's Tuuk.
Yeah. So I got nothing, being that nobody ever says his goddamn name in the entire episode.
Yeah, so we'll probably find out next week, to be honest. I think it's Martuk. Like, I took my kid to the grocery store. Or like Dave Filoni's cat, Took. It is Took. Yeah, this character is named after Dave Filoni's cat.
There you go.
And they just stuck Mar in front of it for whatever reason. Dave Filoni really likes his cat, I guess.
I got nothing. Yeah.
Whatever. We've got Dave Filoni's Donald Rumsfeld Mick Jagger cat as the captain.
Yep, as the captain.
And that's all we know him as. Captain.
And all the scene is just Watt reiterating to Martuk, saying that, like, hey, the Republic can't take Ryloth. Great. Fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
So, moving on. Then Ahsoka jumps into a ship, and she's talking to R7, and she brings up, oh, it's my first time commanding a squadron. And then Anakin comes up. Yeah?
Yeah, there's like this artificial like trepidation that they're trying to, I think, push on Ahsoka here, where she says like, oh, it's my first mission, and then like R7 is like, oh, are you nervous? And she's like, no, I'm not nervous. And then Anakin comes up and he's like, oh, it's your first mission, you nervous? And she's like, no, I'm not nervous. Like, now I'm nervous.
Yeah. It's like, just make sure that things go well, because people can die. And she's like, great. Like, fantastic. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, now I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are depending on me with their lives. Now I'm nervous.
Yeah, now I'm very nervous. So she's leading the squadron. She starts flying out, and they do like a full roll call, right, of her squadron of clones.
Kind of. They do like a half roll call.
Mm-hmm.
So I can bring it up now. I was going to bring it up later. My note is meet the boys. We've got... There's 5 guys that introduce themselves, and they introduce themselves numerically in the order of 2, 3, 4, then no number, and 5. So it's Axe, Slammer, Kickback, Swoop, Tucker.
Yeah.
Which Tucker's kind of funny. And Tucker actually calls Ahsoka, like, what's he call her? Mother Hen?
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, he's like, Tucker. He's like, I don't know, like, Clone Trooper 5, Tucker here, waiting for Mother Hen.
Oh, I didn't even catch that at all.
It's funny, because Swoop calls her Commander or something, and then Tucker calls her Mother Hen.
Yeah, it was an interesting segment to spend this much time to introduce these characters.
But we definitely we're introduced to 5 different clone troopers, and they've all got some pretty ornate patterning to their helmets, which is pretty awesome. And again, Killian Plunkett talks about the design, and they're just normal white troopers, blue paint. The design on them is based on the lotus flower on all 5 of them. Even though Swoop you don't see, because you only see him like from like a 3/4 shot from like behind his right, like over his shoulder. You never see him from the front that I could tell. But I took note of what the design of their helmets looked like to nitpick the continuity moving forward through the episode. So I will bring that up later.
Okay. Because they definitely are blue squadron, so they have the blue pattern. And they are different for sure from like Rex's blue pattern on his helmet. They definitely stand out. So then while the blue squadron is launching off, Martuk sees and launches his own Vulture droid fighters. So Ahsoka heads out there. She definitely starts clearing a path, and it's looking all well. But then 4 enemy cruisers appear. And it's definitely a trap.
Yeah, so I'm gonna rewind a little bit, and I'm gonna spend a little bit more time on this approaching battle. Firstly, like after they jettison out, when laser bolts start flying, it cuts to Yularen and Anakin on the bridge, and you can hear this really nice like radio chatter back and forth between like Blue 2 and Blue 3, and I thought it was a really nice touch of giving this just like a real feel. I don't know that necessarily, like the commander of the battle back at battle headquarters or whatever you want to call it is going to be able to hear his troopers bantering back and forth. But I thought it worked really well because it showed Yularen and Anakin like watching Ahsoka's progress from the outside, and also had the interaction of what was going on in the fight without being in the fight.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. That was definitely a good moment. That's something that has been done before, It's one of those, like, historically, I know, like, President Obama and Hillary Clinton were sitting by, listening in on the radio chatter the night Osama bin Laden got killed. Right?
Okay.
So there is a realistic precedent for this sort of activity happening, where people will sit by and hear live what's happening on the battlefield.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know why I know that. I just do.
I think I remember seeing like a still image of Obama in the
war room, the situation
the war room.
I don't. Yeah,
the war room or
right.
the situation room. I don't know which
Something,
one it is.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is, but it's like they were like seated around a table and they were like watching a monitor or something.
And it was
like
it was like 2 a.m. and you can see him like going more and more gray in his hair.
And like Hillary's like looking like she's covering her mouth in like one of the pictures. Yeah. It wasn't long after they killed Osama bin Laden that those pictures were released.
It was within days, I would say.
Yeah. So.
And I'm on good authority of everything that happens with the military, as you can tell.
Yes, clearly. Yeah.
My second thing that I wanted to bring up is you said that 4 command ships show up.
Mm-hmm.
So at first, Martuk is just kind of sitting back and he's like, okay, let's see what's happening. He figures out that it's Anakin that's kind of in charge of everything, right?
Yeah.
And
he
he's
knows
like,
it's his ship, right? That's how he identifies him.
So he's like, all right, let's just sit back and see what they throw at us. And then we are introduced to 5 clone troopers, clone pilots. We see Ahsoka. Ahsoka leaves the landing bay, and then she's followed by 10. I think they're V-Wings, V-19 or whatever. Peter from over at Rebels would kill me because he's all about knowing exactly what fucking serial number is with what ship in like every scene. Sorry, Pete.
I'm looking at a V-19 Torrent Starfighter. I gotcha.
Boom.
I gotcha.
I was right. But, yeah, so we see 10. So we were introduced to 5 guys. We see 10 fighters plus Ahsoka. And if you look at the paint job on Ahsoka's Jedi Starfighter, so they're triangular in shape, and then she does like a roll or a bank where you can see from like a top down, and the decals are just like a simple white painting, but they're kind of white triangles, and then in the center it stays red and there's like a starburst. So what it looks like is the like the Jedi symbol, like with the starburst and the lightsaber coming out the top, like painted on her starfighter in negative. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You would think that maybe it would be like a lotus flower or something to keep a little bit of continuity with her and her crew, but apparently not.
But she's not always with that crew, though, is she? Like, is that...
Well,
like, that's her starfighter, but...
I think we will find out whether or not she is always with that crew. So when...
Because you have to remember, it's also her first time commanding.
That's right. But, I mean, all of her crew has, like, lotus flowers on their helmet faces.
But as we've seen in past episodes, like... the units seem to be put together and then they're assigned to somebody, right?
That is true. Unless you're Rex, and then you just kind of fit in with anybody.
Yeah, Rex just floats around, but otherwise you always have like this squadron of 5 or whoever who like went up the ranks together, and you know, and if they suck ass then they just get reassigned to other squadrons, but otherwise, right?
Yes.
That's kind of how we've seen it work before. So being that this is her first command, I'm assuming that they were like, oh, hey, this is a good set. Go work with her. You know.
Yeah, you'll probably right.
You'll be fine here. You'll be fine here.
There's no reason. All fine here now.
Yeah. So for them to match, that makes sense. For her to not match them, that's kind of how I'm seeing it, right?
Okay.
It's her ship that she's been flying for the last however many months. And then they're like, shit, we need a commander because the rest of them are fucking busy. So let's just send this teenager out and have her do shit.
So when the new SEP captain sees what's going on, he calls for reinforcements, and one of the battle droids specifically, like, he like turns on a radio and he's like, hey, battle cruisers number 17 and number 19, come on in. And then you see like 2 ships jump in, and then 2 other ships jump in.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. Can't you... Like, if you're going to have 4 ships show up, why don't you just call for 4 ships instead of... I had to watch it, like, twice, because at first I thought, like, okay, it was, like, 2 that, like, left one place, and then they showed up somewhere else. But it's not. It's, like, 4 ships jump in, and everybody just starts this melee of, like, blasting fucking people left and right. And Martuk says something to the effect of, all fighters go. So then it's, like, all of the vulture droids against Ahsoka, and... She had 10 fighters, but at one point she says, she calls out to Axe, who is number 2, not number 1. So he's blue 2, his name is Axe, and she says, Axe, you and your dude stay back, I'm going to lead the way. Then she does some kind of fancy fighting, you see a couple of fighters behind her. Then she's talking to somebody that isn't supposed to be Axe, but he has like the same markings on the helmet as Axe. So it's like we have 2 sets of all 5 of these guys.
Yeah.
And so she told Axe, stay back. Then she tells this other guy that looks exactly like Axe, like, hey, follow me and do this thing. They do that. They kind of fly around. They blow up some vultures. Then she like 30 seconds later, calls back to Axe and is like, right, Axe, like, get your shit in gear, grab your guys, and come on in. And then one of the clones, you can't see who it is what's he say? He says, come on, whiners, let's get dirty. But, like, why, A, why is he calling them whiners?
Yeah.
B, what does let's get dirty mean?
Yeah, especially in context of the already battle they have been doing for the last handful of minutes.
Right, so it's like, hey, you 5 guys, pause. You that looks exactly like that guy, like, follow me. Oh, okay, now you 5 guys...
Let's go.
And
You're
then
on.
One of the people in group 5A is like, oh, yeah, you guys been complaining? Like, let's go do it. Like,
let's
come
do
on.
it. Like, oh, yeah, what? So.
Yeah, so, long story short, they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yularen and Anakin are kind of arguing, and Yularen is talking to Ahsoka, and he's like, hey, I order you to come back to the ship, and she's like, no, like, we have to do this, otherwise Obi-Wan's not going to be able to do his part of the mission, we got to open the door so he can run through it, and Anakin's like, nope, bad idea, there's too many people out there, like, shit's going to go down, come back to the ship, and she's like, you need to come back. Nope. So she pushes on anyway, and then one of her dudes gets blown up. So at that point, she's like, oh, I'm very sad. I think it's Axe. I think Axe gets the axe.
I wrote it as Tucker.
Was it Tucker?
I have it as Tucker as being the first one that died. That's what I have. Because I think somebody calls out a name, and I thought it was Tucker.
Oh, it could be.
That's what I have it written as. But then, so one of them definitely dies.
One of them definitely dies.
One of them definitely dies.
At this point, Ahsoka decides to, like, turn tail and head back in, and then one of the other clones is like, oh, we're retreating? She's like, no, we're not retreating. I don't remember exactly what she says. We're regrouping or some shit like that.
Or we're following orders.
We're following orders, that's what it is.
Well, because there's something else that happens first, too, before she finally decides. Like, the thing that makes her finally decide to turn around, because she is kind of being a complete asshole at this point.
Right.
Because people are dying around her. So Tucker dies first, and then a vulture droid gets hit and then crashes into the bridge of the Resolute, correct?
Yes.
And Anakin and Yularen have to, like, duck out of the bridge to avoid, like, just getting completely smashed, but Yularen is definitely injured.
Right, but they don't even actually leave the bridge.
No, they definitely just kind of hop backwards.
Yeah, they do the, like, jump out of the way of an action explosion that's behind them in the same way that happened in Return of the Jedi when the A-Wing smashes into the bridge of the Executor.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
But, like...
it's not the Executor. Because that's... The Executor is Vader's Star Destroyer. The Super Star Destroyer. Whatever the Super Star Destroyer's name is. Sorry, Pete.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. But anyway, so like the bridge isn't destroyed, but apparently it causes enough damage to like fuck shit up.
Yeah, there were some explosions and shit. It looked bad. It looked real bad. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
How are they going to get out of this one?
It's enough for Yularen to go down, and Anakin is still hopping around. But then that's when,
Jedi.
Yeah, and then Axe dies. So Axe does die.
We see. You're right.
Tucker and Axe.
Yep.
Yeah. So then the bridge gets fucked up. Anakin is like, "Get your fucking shit back here," because the bridge just went out. And then Axe dies, and then Ahsoka's like, I guess we should maybe go back. I don't and then it's weird to me that at this point, the clones, as you said, are like, why are we retreating? It's like, because everybody's fucking dying. What the, like, what?
And I'll disagree with you that everyone is dying.
There's a good handful of, it's like all but
well, no, it was like you
4?
see two people. You see two clones get taken out.
Uh-huh.
So you see two ships get taken out. And when Ahsoka flies back in, because all of a sudden, for some reason, like they have to get back to the good guy Star Destroyer so that the good guy Star Destroyer can jump into hyperspace and like take off and run from the battle. But I guess the Jedi Starfighter doesn't have hyperdrive because they fit into hyperdrive rings, but the V-19 Torrents, I believe, do have hyperdrive, so they wouldn't have to. They could just like hyperspace out of there or whatever. Yeah. But I guess it makes sense for Ahsoka. But anyway, when she's flying, like you see 5 other ships dock with her, and then later in this episode, she's all sad. We'll fast forward a little bit. Like they get back to the ship, they hyperspace out of there. And these Star Destroyers, the good guy Star Destroyers, sorry, they're not actual Star Destroyers, people. They're good guy Star Destroyers because they're painted red and white. They are beat the fuck up. Like normally they have like a dual bridge kind of thing going on the top. It's like 2 spires that come up with like 2 bridges on them that I've never really thought about before. But I guess that's what they are. Like one of them is a bridge. I don't know what the other one is. Maybe the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And like one of them is like missing. We actually see one just break apart. So there's like 1,600 people dead for sure. And the other one just has like holes and flames shooting out of it all over the place. But they're able. Yeah. At least 2 of the 3 are able to escape. Right.
Yeah.
Anakin goes and talks to Ahsoka for a little bit, and she's all super sad, like, at first she's like, so many of my men died, which we saw 2, and possibly 5, which would be half, like, I get it, that's like so many of them, but then even later in the story, she's like, all of my guys died, like, I went out to play, and all of my friends fucking died and didn't make it back, but we see, like, 5 people make it back. I don't get it.
It is, I mean, I guess to her, like, even the one death is a major impact because it's her first time commanding all that. It is weird. I also, in these scenes, want to once again complain that I don't know why I haven't had this complaint for a while. It's been probably like a solid 10 episodes.
Uh-oh.
But her face animation gets so wooden again. Like, she's trying to emote how sad she is, but again, it's doing like that weird, like, her head is pointed towards point A, and then there's like, it just goes to viewpoint B, like it just spins around from like, you know, this degree to this degree, and there's no smooth like movement in it. And it really bothered me because she's supposed to be like this very emotional thing, but the animation is so goddamn stiff as she's speaking. It's like her eyes and her cheeks and her mouth are all in like separate motions that aren't connected to one another.
So I'm gonna offer an explanation here, and you can agree with it or you can disagree with it. The production code on Storm of Ryloth is 115. The past 6 episodes, were 120 something. 122, 124, 125, 126, and 202. So, if, as my theory goes, that the production code kind of tells us when these episodes were made or completed, the last 5 that we saw were made after this. So, I know that every time they're doing any type of animation, they're learning from what they did previously. So it could actually be that the last few episodes that we've seen, the animation is literally just a little bit better because they were made later with
like they just
more information, more knowledge, more technology, whatever.
The only thing that bothers me about that is that this would have started production sooner and they would have had more time to finesse this one.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because I think I kind of feel like they had a lot of this stuff done, and then
they just got to move forward.
Well, no, that's when they showed shit to George Lucas, and George was like, yeah, looks great. We're going to make a movie. Those 4 pieces. So then I'm thinking that they had their normal shit that they were doing, and then on top of it, compiling this movie together.
Yeah.
Also, to be done before the rest of it. So I don't know that... And maybe this is disagreeing with myself, because on one hand I'm saying, later production means that the stuff is potentially better. And I'm disagreeing with the fact that if it's earlier production but released later, they should have more time to work on it. So I don't know.
But nonetheless, like, that aside, all I'm going to look at is the final product that has been delivered, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And Ahsoka's face is just complete trash in this episode. Like, I don't know how else to say it. The animation on her face specifically is rough. And it was definitely enough for me to notice just how unpleasant it was, or just how blocky the blocking of her motions were. But anyways, so it bothers me because it's supposed to be such an emotion-filled scene, and she's carrying these emotions with her, but I just cannot connect with her like dead CGI eyes,
Okay.
But anyway, so moving back into the story itself.
Did you take note of the heartfelt advice that Anakin gives to Ahsoka?
No.
He says, "Take heart, little one. That's the reality of command."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that's...
He's not wrong.
I don't know if that's cheesy or great. Like, I feel like it's one or the other.
That one definitely straddles the line for me. I too thought it was really good. Or like it felt genuine, but then I don't know what it's supposed to teach her, right? Like,
I think part of it is that I don't know if he's 100% like a father figure to her, but it does show that Anakin cares about her, not only just like her physical well-being, but like emotionally he does have some sort of connection with his Padawan.
Yes. Yeah.
And every once in a while there's these little snippets that pop in, and I think this is one of them. So I think it's a nice gentle touch to kind of deepen Anakin's relationship with other characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
They're interrupted by, I think, a clone trooper maybe coming up and saying, essentially, like, Mace Windu wants a progress report.
Yes.
Oh, it's Rex, right? Rex comes up and he's like...
Yeah, Rex comes in.
He's like, "Yo, Annie, bro, what's up, boy?" Like, Mace Windu on the line.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll take care of it, it's cool. I'll tell him that our shit sucked, and we failed.
Because Rex is offering to tell Mace and Obi-Wan, but Anakin is like, no. I guess I should tell them myself.
Yeah, he's like, I'll man up after that those heartstrings I was tugging there a second ago.
And then before we get to that, we get a short little scene with Martuk talking to Watt again via holocom. That of Martuk just explaining to Watt that the blockade is in fact still intact, and there's nothing else to that scene, really, right? But then we go back to Anakin calling Obi-Wan and Mace, saying basically that they must break the blockade.
Yeah, like the Anakin's like, hey, we lost a cruiser, the Redeemer, plus an entire squadron of fighters. So they're Anakin saying like everybody that went out with Ahsoka didn't come back.
Yeah,
like,
they're all dead. Yeah,
everybody is.
They're all dead. According to Anakin in the call.
And according to Ahsoka, most of them are dead, and according to what we see, at least half of them survived.
Just half are dead,
and also according to what we see, like 20% definitely didn't make it. But
yeah.
So
I don't know what to believe. I don't
know
what to believe.
Math is hard. Numbers are bad.
What are we supposed to believe?
1 + 1 equals everybody.
Yeah, Mace puts this like weird arbitrary timeline on it, and that they must break the blockade before the next planetary rotation.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, sure. Because if they don't, then they don't have a chance to go there again for something.
I think maybe then they just like have to wait
for it to rotate back again.
Yeah. It's
Anyways.
It's like if a dartboard like rotated, right? It just
and
like randomly like
throw
flipped.
the darts.
Yeah.
At the
so
same targets.
Hey, you got to throw the darts real quick because like the front of the board is facing you, and if it rotates, you're not going to be able to hit your target.
To flip back. Yeah.
And then it'll just it'll come back. Well, I think a planetary rotation is essentially calling it like a day, right?
Is it a day? I thought it was a.
Well, I think that
season. I thought the rotation was the orbit.
Wouldn't that be like a revolution? Like the Earth rotates, but it orbits around the sun. Like one rotation of the Earth isn't 1 year; it's one rotation is 1 day. Right?
I guess
it's definitely not specific. But if it's a season, then they got like 3 months. They're good.
Yeah. Well, because like that's why Anakin is like, well, it needs to be done now because the people of Ryloth can't wait any longer. So that's again the weird arbitrary like deadline that they're putting on this.
Yeah, it's not really necessary.
No, like we get it. The Ryloth people need to be freed. Like that's motivation enough.
Those would
to me.
Those would be the Twi'leks.
Or the Twi'leks, yeah. The people of Ryloth.
Not the
Rylothians.
Rylothians.
The Rylothians. So,
which kind of raises the question, like, why isn't this planet like Twile or something?
Yeah,
Tweel.
These weird rules. I don't know.
Do you think there are other native people of Ryloth? Do you think there are Rylothians or were Rylothanites?
Well, it could always be something like the names of the planets are chosen by the people, and there's some like other significance to them that we aren't sure that's separate from the species.
Like Earth?
Yeah. Like we're not... I mean, I guess we are Earthlings,
Yeah.
But that's not like a species name.
We're human.
Yeah, see, that's not our species name. So I wonder... Yeah, just depending on the planet. Like some planets, they're like, oh yeah, like we're just going to go... Yeah, you can call us that. That's fine. The planet's called this. We're called that. That's great. But maybe for Ryloth, there's some other thing that we aren't... that you and I are missing out on, unless you know something.
Yeah. I don't know if I know anything or not, but I think I'm going to start introducing myself as the Earthling from Terra.
Yeah, see, exactly. So I'm the Earthican.
Lorenzo the Earthican.
My fellow Earthicans. So yeah, I always like that one. If you're a Futurama fan, that's what they refer to the Earthicans as.
Earthicans?
Earthicans.
Nice.
So.
But yeah, it's like American.
Yeah,
from Earth.
Exactly. Earthicans. So.
If you're from Canada, are you still an Earthican? Or are you an Earth?
Oh yeah, no, you're an Earthican. You're an Earthican. Yeah.
But aren't you a Canadian Earth?
No, just
Earthling?
Earthicans.
Not like American?
Oh, it's all one. It's all one, according to Futurama. It's all one big thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
So anyways, what do we got happening next? Anakin, I do believe, goes to inform.
Yeah, he goes
Ahsoka?
and talks to Mace and Obi-Wan. I don't remember Mace having too much to say, but
well, because Mace is the one bringing up that they have to finish by the rotation.
Yeah, so
That's
Obi-Wan,
the main thing Mace has to say. Yeah.
Obi and Annie kind of talk about Ahsoka, and Obi is giving Anakin advice of like how to deal with his Padawan and in this specific circumstance. And then he also reminds Anakin that as much as she needs him, he needs her to complete this mission.
Yes.
So basically, like, don't be a dick, don't fuck it up, like,
because this needs to happen, otherwise we lose Ryloth.
Right. And Mace gives him a deadline, and my note is that Mace calls their mission an invasion, which I thought was really odd.
Yeah.
Because he's like, hey, we need to do this now, otherwise there will be no invasion.
Mm-hmm. Which I found that very...
Like, they've already been invaded, right? They were invaded by the Separatists. The Rylothians were invaded by the Separatists. That's why Wat Tambor's down there, and he took control of the planet. Like, I don't feel that the Republic coming in to offer aid is an invasion.
No.
It makes it feel more sinister, as though the...
Unnecessarily so.
Rylothanites don't even want the Republic there to help them.
Yeah.
Like, similar to the Lurman. Like, King Lurman just saw everybody as invaders.
Yeah. But it's weird that Mace would refer to their own as the invaders as well.
Mm-hmm.
But especially just, again, being a Jedi and being like the defenders of peace, it's an odd call.
That was the name of the episode with the Lurman. The Defenders of Peace. Good callback.
So, yeah, exactly. But anyways.
Yeah, at this point, Rex goes looking for Ahsoka. Ahsoka is at Yularen's bedside, where she's apologizing to him. She says they're all gone.
While he's still unconscious, by the way.
Maybe?
Well, yeah. So as the scene progresses, Yularen is out.
Mm-hmm.
And Ahsoka's saying her thing. She's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I lost all my men, blah, blah, blah. And then Rex comes in, fetches her to go talk to Anakin. And then as soon as she leaves his bedside, he opens his eyes in the creepiest fucking, like, Annabelle-like way.
See, I almost kind of read it as maybe, he was out or resting when she came in. He was like, oh, dear God, like, just let me let me be. So he closes his eyes, and then she's been there for like 3 hours, just like spilling out her guts, like everything she did wrong, back to, sneaking cookies with the Force in the temple and stuff. And he's like,
like, it's a full confession from her.
Right. Like, and so as soon as she's gone, he's just like, eyes pop open, like, thank God that's our, thank the maker.
Yeah.
Praise the Force.
And, it's funny. I'm glad you brought that up because in my initial viewing, that is basically how I also saw it, because there's no other motivation for the dude to be lying there and then have his eyes open that soon. Like, why doesn't he just wake up and talk to her? Because she clearly needs help, right?
Right. From
an emotional standpoint. But instead, we just have this weird scene where she's talking and then his eyes... Again, This is one where I'm just kind of blaming the animation, where his face is, again, just lying there, and then they just go into full open mode. It's as if they were testing the animation on his eyeballs to open.
Like a blinking light.
Right. Like, his high beams are on as soon as his eyes open up. Is how I describe that.
Maybe 2-1-B, like, just gave him a shot of adrenaline or something.
Yeah. I'm up.
Woo!
Whee.
Where's the party? We're going snowboarding.
But again, it's just a weird, like, they open and then there's a cut. It's just an awkward. It's just an awkward move as we just transition into the next scene. So
one might call that an awkward transition.
Yes, that was quite horrendous.
So what do we have next? We've got Anakin and Ahsoka talking again, right?
Yes. And
Ahsoka, Annie's working on her starfighter? ?
Yeah,
or a starfighter.
I think hers, but I don't know what he's doing or why there aren't other crew that would be doing that. I don't know. Of all the things that he should be doing, if that's the thing that he should be doing.
Well, he does a couple of things here that are very bizarre in the pantheon of weird things that Anakin does. Like, he starts by pulling, like, the dad card and, like, hey, kiddo, you had a rough day. Like, get that wrench for dad and bring it over here, and we're gonna
talk.
We're gonna talk through this, which I think works well. And they kind of argue a little bit. Ahsoka is totally discouraged and, like, despondent. And she's like, no, I can't do this. Those guys relied on me, and I killed them all.
Now they're dead. They're all dead.
And even if there was women and children troopers, I would have killed them too. And Anakin's like, yeah, I can relate, Sometimes sense. That happens.
Yeah.
And I wrote that Anakin, like, grounds Ahsoka. Like, he's like, no, you can't. I don't know what he tells her she can't do. Something. What? Complain? I don't know.
Yeah, something weird. Because Anakin brings up the next plan of action, which is basically to attack the blockade again.
Oh, I remember what it is. He tells her, he's like, go to your room and think about it. Like, think about the talk we just had when we... Yeah.
Think about all the people that are now dead because of you. Yes, go think about that. Well, but she gets all pissed off.
I thought it was a more of, yeah, some people died, but think about what you need to do next. And she's like, no, I can't do anything. Like, I'm paralyzed with fear. And he's like, go to your room and think about it.
Yeah, like, or just work through it.
Right.
But because he's going to go ahead with his plan, and she is the one to have to help pull off the plan.
Oh, and it is centered around her.
Yeah, because his plan is essentially, she goes up to the room, and then a few alarms start blaring, and then she hops back out, and she's like, Rex, what's going on?
Yeah, we cut over to the Separatists for a little bit, just to, I guess, break the scene up, and then cut back, and there's, like, klaxons blaring, and troopers running. She grabs one of them, and she's like, what's up? And he says that
they're evacuating the
Defender.
The Defender.
Right. Defender is where they're at.
They're transferring people from Defender over to their cruiser, right? Is what's happening?
I thought they were on their
going
cruiser.
The other way.
It's got to be going the other way. They're on the Defender,
Oh, and then they're
currently.
transferring over to whatever
The
I
other
don't
one
know.
is.
Yeah.
Right.
We're really good with names in this episode.
Yeah, we're
I
great
had it
at ship
written.
names.
What were we just trying to scan my notes. I can't see shit. Anyways.
Anyway, Anakin. We cut to
The
Anakin
Resolute? Is it the
standing
Resolute?
literally on a soapbox.
I
What'd you say?
Is it the Resolute? Is that
I think
the
the
other one, or
Resolute
is
is Anakin's ship, right?
Yeah. So Defender is the one that got fucked up. They're transferring over the Resolute, but
Yeah.
Anakin's staying on the Defender.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
plan? Okay. So the plan is, yes.
The plan is to evacuate this ship and send everybody over to the other ship.
Yes.
And then the second part of the plan is to throw Ahsoka under the bus
Yep.
and tell her only a little bit of it and tell her that she's really important and that she has to save Anakin, because what Anakin's going to do is take one ship in and fight the entire blockade by himself with one ship, and
Yep.
then before shit really goes down, he's going to escape pod out, and then Ahsoka has to come and get him.
Yep.
He gives her this information while standing on an apple crate in the middle of the loading dock or landing bay, right? Just kind of pointing at troopers like, hey, you move that box. Hey, you move that box. We have a whole bunch of clones carrying boxes,
Yep.
which makes me happy. And then Ahsoka like disagrees with him, and he's like, all right, hold on. Steps down off the box, and he's like, Rex, you're in charge. Rex steps up on the box and just like starts pointing at shit as I smack my microphone all over the place. They walk around, and Anakin basically says, all right, everybody, Ahsoka's going to give you the details. Peace. And just like disappears. And then Ahsoka's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, this totally is not cool. So the clone troopers are kind of questioning her, and she's like, yeah, I'll be on the bridge.
Yeah. She's like,
just-
yes, meet me on the bridge, and I will tell you the plan that I totally have now that Anakin has left me in charge, right?
Yep.
So then,
Yeah,
go ahead.
More Wat Tambor Hollow.
Yeah.
They kind of talk about Skywalker a little bit. Rex dislikes Ahsoka's plan, which isn't really a plan. Is this where she comes up with the idea to like turn the ship sideways?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Do you
So
want
she's gonna.
to explain that?
So essentially, what Anakin's plan is, he's gonna take the Defender and basically just fully fucking ram that shit into the thingy, but then he needs Ahsoka to cause some sort of distraction while they're heading in, and then basically the main thing is to just throw a life raft when need be, because he'll be floating around defenseless in a escape pod.
Correct. I called
So then-
Anakin's plan a half Rogue One, half The Last Jedi attack.
Yeah, basically.
Um,
Yeah. And then Ahsoka's plan, while trying to distract, is because they don't want the bridge to be under fire. She's gonna just turn it so that the fucking belly is facing the main point of attack, and then as
the bridge and the garage door are protected
yes,
is her idea.
Mhm.
And apparently this came from Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire novel. Like, this is a move that was
Ew.
done in that, and Dave Filoni, which I learned recently, is actually pretty knowledgeable of the old EU. All the old EU stuff is all up in his head, and he pulls little bits and pieces from the no longer EU. I guess, what do they call it? Legends?
the legends. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was really knowledgeable about Legends. This particular maneuver stuck out to him from Heir to the Empire, and he wanted to put it on screen. So this whole thing is all building up to this one maneuver.
Yeah.
And that is, like Lorenzo was saying, turn the ship on the side. You got the whole bottom of it, which is shielded, and there's some cannons and shit down there that can, or turbo lasers that can fire back. But the bombers, the ships can come out the top where the garage door is. The bridge is protected. Like, they're not going to have some random vulture droid smash into the bridge and hurt anybody. So,
and their idea too is that because everybody will be directed towards the from the ship's perspective, the bottom of the ship, they can fly around the ship itself and then end up flanking any vulture droids that are coming towards them.
Right.
Is part of Ahsoka's plan as well. The one thing I did appreciate about this maneuver, and I did not realize it came from Heir to the Empire, which at the time still would have been canon. I do appreciate for the first time we kind of get a fight that acknowledges there's no proper up-down orientation.
Right.
They're like, hey, we could totally just flip the shit on the side.
Sideways.
Yeah, it's not like we're going to bounce off the fucking walls or anything. Just turn the shit sideways and just use the whole bottom as the fucking shield. Great. I appreciated that point.
Yeah, if they could have extrapolated that like one step further and realized that they could just fucking fly over the blockade or under the blockade.
Yeah.
Around the blockade.
No. That's too complicated. There's just one little orbital ring of blockade to deal with. So this is a plan that Rex and unnamed navigational officer. He's never named, right? No, just even
he didn't stick out enough to even make my notes. So
yeah,
I'm gonna say no.
So why he was even standing there, I'm not sure.
Is this the guy that's talking? He's talking shit to Ahsoka, right? He's like, this plan is stupid.
Yeah, he's like, this will never work.
What?
Yeah, we have to sit around longer and think of a better plan. And Ahsoka's like, there's no fucking time. Anakin's already flying off.
Look, I already got thrown under the bus. This is the fucking plan. Anakin's taking an entire good guy Star Destroyer by himself with only R2-D2.
Yeah. We need to figure something out, or otherwise he's going to be floating around in space as a fucking target with no defenses.
Right. So we are going to essentially lay down in battle, play dead, and attack from over the top, you know?
Yep. Yeah, so Rex is kind of like, okay, I don't like it, but the other officer's like, no. We can't move on with this. But then luckily at this moment, when the guy is kind of talking shit, Yularen kind of straggles in and is like,
yeah,
hey.
He totally does.
Yeah. Like, he's all like fucking beat up and looking like hell still. But he kind of rolls in and is like, well, she's a commander and the plan will work. We just have to believe in the plan. So then the clones are like, I guess if we have Yularen on board, I guess we're going with this. So,
who outranks who? Does Ahsoka outrank Yularen?
I don't think so.
Does Anakin outrank Yularen?
I think so. But still, I don't... Because the Jedi outrank all clones. But then beyond that, like where Yularen falls on this, that's more unclear to me.
Right.
I always thought of maybe Yularen and Anakin being on close levels of ranking, you know?
Okay.
But I never, based on previous episodes, it always looked like, it's hard to tell, because sometimes Yularen is kind of taking point. But then Anakin being Anakin is also just doing his own thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely not like a pilot co-pilot situation.
No.
But it's also not like a pilot stewardess.
No. It definitely seems like if Obi-Wan's in the mix, Yularen's kind of responding to Obi-Wan's command.
Right.
Right? Like, Yularen will give Obi-Wan necessary information. He's kind of like the right-hand man in the situation. He's like the Alexander Hamilton to George Washington sort of situation, perhaps. Yeah.
Okay. Where's Aaron Burr in this?
He's off at school. He's not fighting. Not yet. That comes later. When Aaron Burr gets the high ground.
Nice.
But so that's how I've always seen it, where Obi-Wan is the top dog, but Yularen is definitely there with all the information, all the knowledge that he just feeds very quickly to Obi-Wan to let Obi-Wan execute whatever the fuck he needs to do.
So Yularen and Anakin are kind of similar to like Rex and Ahsoka.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereby like Rex defaults to Anakin and listens to Ahsoka, but does so kind of reluctantly.
Yeah, just based on Ahsoka's lack of skills. And
right. It's like, okay, well, the plan is we're going to fucking lay down here and just kind of crawl over the top. So how can I make this plan better, but by still using her plan?
How can I execute her plan in a way that won't get me killed?
Here's how you do it. Ahsoka comes up with the plan because she's the commander and she's in charge, and she goes to the bridge to figure it out and say, hey, this is what we're doing. And then immediately after she gets a little bit of support from Yularen, is like, all right, peace out, guys. I'm going to get my starfighter. And she hops in a B-wing, and then she like leads that part of the mission.
Yeah.
There's these weird like roll jumps where, I mean, if you're in charge and you're going to be on the bridge, you're in charge and you're on the bridge. Like, you don't...
Yeah, you don't jump in and...
You don't drive the tank up, blow a hole in the door, then jump out and drive the Jeep through the door, and then jump out of the Jeep and get into the mail truck and deliver the mail, and then go inside and make sandwiches.
Yeah, and just call it good. I got nothing for you.
This coming from the guy that earlier was like, why would Ahsoka and Anakin like open the door and then and then later Obi-Wan comes to run through it? So maybe I don't agree with myself. I'm not really sure. But it seems
fine.
like
this episode's confusing. It
seems like if she's in charge, she should be in charge and like stay on the bridge.
Yeah, to monitor and direct, right?
Yeah. So is this whole thing just like a redemption, like her story redemption to make herself feel better, that she can take another squadron of guys out and
because she needs to be
not
a person
die
of action. Yeah, she just needs to be the one like on the field with the dudes, so that she doesn't feel as bad when the dudes all go down again. Like,
right. So all this time, Tuke and Anakin are talking to each other.
Yep.
I don't have any specifics on what they're talking about. It's just kind of filler, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely like a weird throwaway where Anakin tries to make some weird deal where it's like everybody on the ship will turn themselves into Martuk, as long as they can deliver like food and other medical aid or something like that to the people of Ryloth.
Mm-hmm.
And Martuk is like, yeah, that sounds great, like fantastic. The part we kind of skipped over really quickly before is like he took a moment to do some research on who this Anakin character was.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of knows that he's like a very persistent sort of guy.
And there's something like not everything's going to be on the surface with Anakin. He knows that something's coming. He just doesn't know what it is or where it's coming from.
Yeah. So then pretty much we hop back to the Ahsoka scene. Then we hop back to Anakin and Martuk, and a droid comes up to Martuk and is like, yeah, so we did a scan of the ship, and we just want to let you know there's only it's badly damaged, and this is fucked up, and also there's only one life form. And Martuk is like, wait, what? Oh, it's badly damaged, and Martuk is like, shut the fuck up. Like, just the last part. I'm reacting to the last part. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I thought it was hilarious.
I thought that was a well done joke. It's
you see, there's only one life form. What?
Yeah.
Oh, you see, there's only one. No, I get it.
Yeah, like It's a natural reaction. What the fuck? So then Martuk immediately realizes what's happening. Anakin takes a couple steps back and is like, "Yep, thank you, peace out." Hops in a.
I like that you said Anakin takes a couple of steps back, because this isn't just an audio conversation back and forth between the two. It reminded me of the opening of The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
That I have a couple of issues with, but I felt like it worked well here. It was kind of funny because there is they're not hollows, but they're like holovids back and forth. So they are essentially Skyping each other, like a video Skype, and Anakin really is just kind of like pushed all up close and personal into the camera, so there's not much that you can see past him. He's framed pretty well close in, and Took doesn't realize it until after he finds out, and he's like, "Oh, you would tricked me," and that's when Anakin like steps back and he's like, "Yeah, sucker, see you later."
Yeah, peace out.
And then he just, what's he do? He just like accelerates like full bore to just smash into Took's ship.
Yeah, he basically pushes the accelerator all the way forward and then gets out of there with R2. Like R2 is like, "Oh shit, we're going now? Okay, yeah, great. I'm right behind you."
Which means to me that the escape pods are really, really close to the bridge. Are there escape pods like right off the bridge? Or
I don't think Anakin was actually on the bridge when he was doing that communicating.
Well, then how did he?
I think, didn't R2 do something and then they got out of there?
So R2's the one that like hit the accelerator?
Yeah, I think that's what R2 was doing there. Yeah, like, because I think it was one of those things where, you know, like you think you're Skyping with somebody on a computer, but then at the last second you realize like they're on their phone in fucking Maui or something like that. And you're like, what the fuck? You know?
That sounds like something you would do.
Oh, completely. Absolutely. Yeah. Just making a call from Disneyland, don't worry.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. That's just a normal wall behind me. Don't listen to any of that background noise of screaming children or anything like that. No, don't worry. It's fine. Yep. There's no parade right in front of me on the other side of this laptop, not phone, going on. So, but that's kind of how I saw it. So, you know, maybe if I go back and take a look, but I didn't think he was on the bridge.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I don't.
Yeah,
think he
I
was.
guess maybe I just assumed that he was.
Yeah.
I have no notation that says where he is or is not. I was more curious as to how close in proximity the bridge is to escape pods. But
yeah. And with the being a bridge, I'm sure there has to be like a lifeboat near-ish by, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, but if you think about, let's go back in time here a little bit, like the Titanic. I know the Titanic did not have the proper number of lifeboats, right?
Yeah. But there were still lifeboats on the upper decks that you had to wench out over and then onto the lower ones or something like that. But
right.
Those, yeah.
But the command crew of the Titanic, it's not like they had their own personal lifeboat right next to the bridge of the ship.
No, but there would have been some within running distance.
Do you think? I guess I was just kind of under the impression that the command crew just kind of, you know, it's their job to drive the ship. It's not their job to hop in the lifeboat and take off and be like, "See you, suckers."
Well, in a properly made boat up to standards, you know, one in which there's a lifeboat for every soul on board.
Like in Captain Phillips?
Yes. Yeah. Like, there are lifeboats scattered about for all access, right?
Okay.
Like, have you ever been on a cruise?
No.
Oh, because because I'm trying to remember. I've been on one cruise and I was like 12, so we're talking like
last
a decade
year?
or like 20 years. Yeah, like 20 years ago. There is like a drill run where you have to like go from your room to like the lifeboat, and then I remember sitting in the lifeboat. Like you actually have to like go sit in the lifeboat, and then somebody like does a check, and each lifeboat has like one crew person assigned to it as well.
Weird.
So, and this was like in the late 90s, in the late 1900s. But yeah, I remember like we got in our configurations where, because I was a child at that point, I was seated in the middle. So there's like children in the center, women, and then men forming like the outer perimeter of it. And then there was like a crew member that was also in and like did a head count. They're like, yep, everybody's here. And then after like 5 minutes, they're like, great. So that's exactly what would happen if we needed to get in a lifeboat for whatever weird reason, you know.
By the way, all of your expensive personal belongings have been stolen.
Oh yeah, they're gone, completely gone. But yeah, so and I remember it taking like we got like the cheapest cabin, like we were way at the bottom. We're in like the fucking bottom of the boat.
You were like down with all the Irish.
Oh yeah, we were having those parties where we're dancing on the tables and just spinning around, you know. People playing on fiddles and scratching their nails on the washboards. Yeah.
Nice.
We're down there. We're way down there.
Was it you or one of your parents that stood on your tippiest of tiptoes
What?
while dancing?
No. None of us have the talent for that. That I have tried. My fat ass cannot do that. No. Have you ever tried that?
I have.
Fucking sucks. I can't do it.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not nimble.
No. But I love Titanic. Love that movie. Anyways.
So, back to escape pod. We were at escape pods. That's what brought us all the way around to Titanic.
Lifeboats, yeah.
Took realizes what Anakin is doing. And he says something to the effect of, I'll be right back. And fucking gets up and straight runs away.
Disappears.
Just
completely disappears.
It was at this point that I noticed like some more traditional like orchestral music in the background, which I'm assuming was playing throughout the episode. And it only stuck out at this point because I guess it was kind of a little lull in action and maybe we had a bit of a swell in the music. But it sounded nice. So that's the only music note that I have for the entire episode. And it was a positive one. So that's good. We get what I thought was... Oh, wait. I got one other note before I'm going to say what I was going to say. And Took is talking to the droids.
Yeah.
And he says something. I guess this is like before the Anakin reveal. But he tells them that they have to retreat because... Oh, wait. I don't know what this note is. It just says, wait, they have to retreat because the droids aren't attacking? Is that Yularen? I think Yularen's like, oh, maybe we should retreat or turn around or some shit because the droids are not... There was definitely a commander that was alarmed that the opposing forces weren't attacking, and their response was to, like, turn tail and run. And then I think Rex is like, no, like, hey, why don't we just wait for a second here?
I think Took brought that up, but I thought that was much earlier. Because, again, that goes back to the... I remember Took had the droids manning their ships, but the droids didn't know why, because nobody was attacking yet.
Okay.
But then Took brought up, was like, well, based on what Anakin has done before, he always comes back. You know, and like shit will happen.
Okay. That makes way more sense than what I wrote down, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that was definitely like one of those weird like little moments that honestly, like it paid off in the fact that with Ahsoka showing up, then yeah, like Took read through the lack of knowledge that they had about the other side or their plans or what they were going to do. Because at that point, like, I don't even think Anakin had shown up yet, even. But it was one of those throwaway scenes that we kind of skipped over because it was just this weird throwaway scene.
Okay.
Well, I'll talk a little bit more about that later when we kind of wrap up this episode. But yeah, so that's when that happened. But basically, at this point, Martuk is gone.
Martuk's gone, which gives us our second joke that I really like. And it's all the droids kind of looking around like, well, who's in charge?
Yeah. Like, what's going on? And they're all looking at, like, the one droid that has, like, yellow markings on it who happened to be sitting in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
and
again...
I believe that yellow means, like, commander in droid.
Yeah.
In battle droid.
So why wouldn't they automatically just then, like, in chain of command mode, go to that one, you know?
I think maybe that's part of the joke because I believe typically, like, the life force general or captain or whatever would give orders to the droids, and then the yellow-headed droid would give further orders down the line to other droids.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of looking at him like, well, are you in charge? And he's like, I guess so.
Sure, yeah. So, yeah, that was a well-played joke. And then at this moment, too, Wat Tambor gives another call in and is like, why is a droid sitting in this chair? Where the fuck is Martuk?
I don't know. He laughed.
Yeah. And then they fully acknowledge that the blockade has been broken, and Wat Tambor is not happy about that whatsoever.
Yeah, Ahsoka leads a platoon, I guess, squadron, we'll call it, of Y-Wing bombers.
Yeah.
Did they actually bomb anything?
I don't think they bombed anything, because the main explosion is the Defender crashing into the Separatist station.
Yeah, like the droid capital ship or whatever.
Because it's not a cruiser. What is it? Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, so yeah, Ahsoka's just doing her thing. People aren't getting fucked up.
Yeah, the only other two things that happen in this episode are Obi-Wan's arrival, which he has Mace Windu in tow, which is weird.
Yeah. He's just hanging out. They're hanging out.
I know, but why
he wants to check in?
Why is there always two Jedi Masters together? Obi-Wan always shows up with either like Anakin or Mace Windu or Yoda or somebody.
They're a hands-on approach. All right, they all want to just actually confirm what's happening, and then they can go back with status reports to Palpatine.
Is that why Mace Windu has like 3 lines in this entire episode?
Basically, just to be there, so you remember that he exists too. Right. I guess.
Hey, I have a purple lightsaber.
Yes.
That's cool.
And then,
Obi-Wan's talking to Ahsoka, and he's like, where's the fleet? And I'm not even going to ask why Anakin's in an escape pod. And then Ahsoka's like, oh yeah, hey Rex, like, send somebody to pick up Anakin.
Yeah. That's a thing we should probably do, huh?
And that's basically the end of the episode.
And that's the end. Yep. That's where, like, Anakin has like a one-liner joke. He's like, "Oh, I'm just watching the show."
Yeah.
And then cue loud music. Yeah.
Cue loud music.
Cue loud music. So that's that one. That's Storm over Ryloth. You wanna?
Yep.
You want to kick off talking about what you thought about the episode?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to give 2 credits out from the credits section, and that's Corey Burton does the voice of Martuk. Corey Burton is also Count Dooku. And we've got Matthew Wood as the voice of Wat Tambor. Matthew Wood is all of the battle droids.
Ew.
And General Grievous.
Interesting.
So, that is your 2 voice actor shouts out from this episode. You want me to go ahead with the thumbs up, thumbs down?
Yeah, go ahead. Start it off. Yeah.
I am going to give this one a thumbs up.
Okay.
I'll just jump straight in. There's a couple of corny things, but one, this is the first part of a 3-parter, and for the record, I have not watched the other 2 parts yet, so I do not know how season 1 wraps up. But we've been on a roll of kind of building on things that have happened in the past. The last time that we were on Ryloth was with Jedi Master I'm Gonna Die.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that I left Ryloth at that point wanting more, wanting to know what happens. So, there's some corny shit that happens in this, and Ahsoka's story arc is kind of forced into this to get to the point where she can suggest, like, hey, we just turn this thing on its side and we'll do this thing. And it's cool that Dave Filoni pulled that from Legends and kind of centered this episode around that, but it doesn't really, it's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
That being said, I think that this is going to be a good lead-in to being on Ryloth and dealing with, like, we see the Twi'leks just for the briefest period of time in the newsreel at the beginning, and it's just enough bait to hook me to keep me wanting more.
Yeah.
So, thumbs up.
All right.
What you got?
I'm kind of glad you went that way, just if only because if somebody was kind of taking both judgments and having to reconcile them, I'm going to give it a thumbs down. But it's a just barely. It's a just barely there. I'm glad we're split the way it is to have, like, it's a 1 thumbs up episode. Like, if I had 2 thumbs to judge, I would give it like a 1 thumbs up.
1 thumb up, 1 thumb down.
Yeah. It's not an awful episode by any means. No, not at all. But the storytelling is just choppy enough for me to just not like it. You know, these weird step overs to Wat Tambor and Martuk that really only reiterate stuff that is super apparent and is just all surface level shit. Like, there's no need for us to jump to them like 3 times and be like, hey, just make sure the blockade doesn't get broken. Well, yeah, we got it. Like, of course, what else would you fucking doing, you know? So it's just those weird little storytelling techniques where we've talked about it before, where the show has this tendency to try and do like a plot A, plot B. And some of the episodes that I can't remember which ones now, but the ones I've really, really, really liked were the ones that were just all one plot, that were all driving forward, and it didn't hop around, it didn't split its characters up, you know. And for the most part, this one doesn't split its characters up in terms of like Ahsoka and Anakin, but it still does like this weird sidestep when it really doesn't need to, you know.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying, and I'm sometimes I have some rebuttal back to you to maybe try to justify or sway your decision in a different way, but I've got no argument against the things that you're saying. I was just thinking as we're talking our viewpoints on this episode. Earlier I brought up Cat and Mouse and the invisible ship, the cloaked ship, right?
Yeah.
I'm honestly feeling like we could have taken that storyline and merged it with this storyline.
Yeah.
And it would have made both of them better.
Completely. Yes.
I'm interested to see what comes of Martuk. I don't find him particularly compelling. His character design is fine.
Yeah.
You know, he is essentially just a repainting of who am I thinking of?
Not Lot Dodd. Why is that the one that's coming to my head?
Newt Gunray.
Newt Gunray, yeah.
He is essentially a repaint of Newt Gunray. And, you know, he doesn't... I don't know. His character doesn't really add anything, especially, like, slapping a label like Captain. Like, why isn't he a general? Why is he just a captain?
Yeah.
What is Wat Tambor? Does Wat Tambor have some type of ranking, or is he just like? Because I think in the live action movies, he's like the head of the banking clan or something.
Yeah.
You know, as the banking clan stepped past their position as, you know, financiers of this war. Could you imagine if there was some type of planetary bank that was backing North Korea that all of a sudden was like, all right, you know, and the president of the bank just like hops out of a fucking helicopter and is in North Korea, like at the edge of the DMZ, like ready to go, taking hostages and shit?
Yeah. See, like, it's these weird things that did bother me enough about the episode, right? Again, it's all in the storytelling too. I think the story itself, there's something there. I like the idea of putting Ahsoka in this position where she has like a colossal epic fail and has to redeem herself. You know, that's a story that's been told, and it's been told well, and it'll be told again.
I think they could have gone one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could have either focused on this new commander of the Separatists and the blockade of Ryloth, or with this this plot of Ahsoka's first command of a squadron.
Yeah.
And really played hard into that. The melding, you know, the silly putty to the Play-Doh of the two of them doesn't quite blend, but I still am keeping my thumb up because I know it gave me just enough of a taste of what's going on Ryloth that I want another bite. How do you have any thoughts of Ryloth and what's going on there? Or
see, I find it interesting you say that, because to me, this episode was so not Ryloth centered that I kind of keep forgetting, despite the title, where it's like, oh yeah, this is a story around Ryloth. But again, it's because we get these, like, it's all space, which is fine, you know, considering it's Star Wars. But it's one of those weird things where, again, in the storytelling, it's like we keep getting these reminders that that Wat Tambor exists, but we only see him through holocoms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's... Yeah, like, as regards to Ryloth, I have nothing, because to me, this is a story about Ahsoka fucking up and Martuk trying to do his thing to keep the blockade up. To me, this episode has nothing to do with Ryloth other than geography. Right? Okay. Like, this episode could have taken place on any other planet, and it would have been the exact same to me.
Yeah, it could have been Christophsis again.
Yeah, yeah. So this,
I mean, we have seen the blockade storyline before.
Oh, completely. So, you know, I'm curious for the next two episodes, knowing that it's a part of a 3-episode arc. I, like you, have not gone any farther forward, to watch any upcoming episodes. So the only information I have in terms of judging this one is this one, which is, I think, appropriate as we just try and look at each episode anyways.
Yeah, we're dedicated podcasters, man. This is what we do.
But yeah, so as regards to Ryloth, I got nothing because I don't know anything more, like this episode gave me nothing for that.
Do you know what the episode title of that is coming up next week is?
I do not know.
It is called Innocence of Ryloth.
Huh.
And then the following week we have something of Ryloth, but I'm not going to share that yet.
Okay.
You guys know how to use the internet. You can go look at it if you want, but
or just wait the next 2 weeks. Yeah. Just 2 more weeks. Two little
next week we've got Innocence of Ryloth. So I'm going to imagine that we're probably heading down to the planet. And going from there. So, you got anything else you want to share in this episode before we totally wrap things up?
Again, my thumb is down, but I don't hate this episode. It's very middle of the road. It's like it's not bad, but it's not a good episode for me to be like, yeah, it's fine. Here's a thumbs up. It's just there. So
it's got enough nice things in there for me to not necessarily feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside, but I smiled a couple times, I laughed a couple times.
Yeah.
Overall, it was all right. It was an enjoyable episode to talk about. I'll say that much.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So, what else we got?
Let's give shouts out to Lindsay and Kevin.
For sure.
Lindsay over at Strange Fantasy Music through Gmail.
At gmail.com. Yep.
You can find Kevin Warren on Twitter. He is our illustrator.
Yep.
Hit him up. He does good stuff.
They Call Me K-Dub.
They Call Me K-Dub on Twitter and I think Instagram too.
Oh, is he? Oh, cool.
Yep.
If you need to reach out to us, Kevin...
Talk to me on Twitter at Not the Nerds.
Yep. And then we're on Facebook at Not the Nerds Podcast.
That one would be Lorenzo.
Yeah, which I have not updated in a while.
Lorenzo is bad. He's been bad.
Well, again, if you're listening this week by week, you just heard us last week. I'm coming off a 3-week vacation. We banked a few up there, and then now we're getting back to the swing of things. So
yeah, as our episodes jump around in the timeline, so does Lorenzo's life sometimes.
Yes,
and mine as well. So earlier in the summer, I took some time off to spend time with my new baby girl, and Lorenzo took some time off to go to San Diego Comic-Con and some other shit.
Yes. So coming back from all that,
you had some family time in there too, right?
Yep. So my family came to visit. So three whole weeks off, and yeah, that's just how I do. Just take 3 whole weeks off from everything.
I am just going to point out that I think I am a much harder worker than Lorenzo because I only took a week off, I think. Something like that.
And that's with a child.
That's right.
That's with a new actual human being to take care of. I just said fuck all and left work for 3 solid weeks doing next to nothing with my family. So
that's because you're a dick.
Yeah. Hey, but this still all came out fine. Like, I double checked all the episodes released. Nothing fucked up there. Right?
That is true.
Right.
So far.
Anyways. Yeah. So we'll talk to you next week, nerds. Yeah?
Yeah, I feel like I had something else to say, but
I got nothing else.
No, can't think of it.
Moving on. Bye, everybody.
These aren't the nerds you're looking for.